Welcome back to this, already the final segment of the Price of Business today. Glad to be with you. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking about your business, and it's your business to be aware of what's happening on the health insurance front. The media has really gotten aware of the fact that this administration has mishandled this Obamacare in epic proportions. In addition, there's been this obvious deception going on, and I'm telling you, it's pretty extraordinary to see the media act this way. Media really fulfilling its role that I think it historically has had. Here's an example right now this week from CNN Anderson Cooper. Go ahead there.
Now, more breaking news. Evidence that the Obama administration is leaning on insurance companies to keep a lid on problems with the health care law rollout. Now, Drew Griffin on CNN's Investigations did the reporting. So, Drew, what's going on here? What have you learned?
Anderson, what's going on is behind-the-scenes attempt by the White House to at least keep insurers from publicly criticizing what is happening under this Affordable Care Act rollout. Basically, if you speak out, if you are quoted, you're going to get a call from the White House, pressure to be quiet. Several sources tell me, and my colleague, Chris Freitz, that insurance executives are being told to keep quiet. Bob Lazuski, who heads the Health Policy and Strategy Associates, a consulting firm for big insurance and an outspoken critic of Obamacare, says he is getting calls from these executives who want him to speak out, Anderson, for them about the problems because they feel defenseless against the White House PR team. Lazuski told me today the White House is exerting massive pressure on the industry, including the trade associations, to keep quiet. The source is telling us they feared White House retribution.
So, I mean, what specifically do they say they're being told to keep quiet about?
About the fact that clarifications were made to the Affordable Care Act after the law was passed, and those clarifications are forcing the insurance industry to drop insurance plans that do not meet Obamacare requirements. There's a lot of coverage now required in these plans. That was not part of many people's private health care plans. Those are the people, Anderson, who are being dropped, and despite all the rhetoric from the president, you simply cannot keep your current health care plan if it does not meet these requirements. Lazuski says the insurance industry is embarrassed about canceling the plans, but in an interview last week, he told me the administration was warned about this very scenario and ignored the advice.
When the regulations are being put together, people in the insurance industry said, you're being overly regulatory, you're requiring too many things, you're making this too complicated, you're not letting people keep their plans who have them now. And the Obama administration decided to do it the way the Obama administration was going to do it. One of the things I think that's clear here is the Obama administration has no trust in anything the health insurance industry tells them about how to run a health plan. And I think the administrative mess you're seeing right now is indicative of what happens when somebody tries to run somebody else's business who thinks they're smarter than you are.
So, Drew, why would the insurance industry not be willing to challenge the White House publicly?
Well, the executives are willing to listen to the White House because right now it is the federal government that's the biggest customer for these insurance companies. Government-backed plans accounted for about 48% of healthcare policies last year, Anderson, a number that's expected to grow this year and years to come. So basically, the insurance companies are in a position to just be quiet for fear of offending basically their biggest source of income.
So have you heard from the White House about this? I mean, what's their side of the story?
Yeah, pushing back. Jay Carney just sent this note on allegations of White House pressure being placed on insurance executives. He writes, that accusation is preposterous and inaccurate. Plus, it ignores the fact that every day insurance companies are out talking about the law, in large part because they are trying to reach millions of new customers who will now have new affordable insurance options available from providers through the new marketplaces. That from White House spokesman Jay Carney just a few moments ago. He also reiterated that he thinks Bob Lazuski has been against Obamacare from the start and is a longtime opponent, I should say, of any kind of reform in health care.
Which, I mean, you acknowledge he has been critical of Obamacare for a long time, so viewers should keep that in mind, as well as the White House saying they totally don't buy this.
Absolutely right. But again, our sources of mine, Chris Freight's sources, are telling this is not coming just from Bob Lazuski.
Okay, so there's multiple sourcing in this. All right, cool.
Yes.
Drew, appreciate it. Thanks for the clarification.
All right, so you heard it. Obviously very scathing, very powerful, and I say, incredibly well done. Props to Anderson Cooper and CNN for doing this. And the pressure isn't going to just be on on the insurance companies they were talking about. There's been enormous pressure being placed on NBC, and I guarantee you they'll do the same at CNN. This is an administration of intimidation. Intimidation seems to be a cornerstone of this administration, and I only expect that to only grow in the months ahead. As criticism goes from just the crazy right-wingers like myself, as the administration has kind of described us, to the mainstream media that largely, like Anderson Cooper, leans dramatically to the left. But even they get to a point where, at what point are we going to do our job, which is to hold all institutions, and I would say particularly government, accountable. You're beginning to see that happen. And I believe, in spite of the fact that the administration is going to use undue and probably inappropriate pressure on media outlets, you're going to see more and more stories like this. And frankly, as they put more and more pressure on those media outlets, I think some of them are going to have a eureka moment and say, wait a minute, at what point do we do the job of a journalist, or do we just acquiesce and put up a white flag and say we don't do this work any longer? It really is quite extraordinary to watch and to see that abdication of responsibility on the media's part, and then for them to begin to take this action out. You and I both know, and this isn't, you can be a liberal and know this. If you don't know this, then you're lying to yourself. That if George H.W. Bush or George W. Bush or any Republican was involved in something like this and created something like this, we would hear 24/7 criticism. And of course, much of what this administration has done, if done by any other president who is a Republican, would be outcries for impeachment at every single turn. It's extraordinary the pass that this president has got. Juan Williams, who's now at Fox News, at the time was with PBS, may have put it best when he said that this is Barack Obama, the most unvetted president in U.S. history. He received the least amount of due diligence. He got a pass because of his, really, Juan alludes to his ethnicity being one of the main reasons why. Media being infatuated by this race and by his race, being infatuated, which frankly that shows racism, right? That being the primary driver for promoting him, and being infatuated, in love with the idea of history in the making. And as a result, the administration has suffered, as well as the American people. Obama has been put in a place that, frankly, is not an appropriate place for him to be in. And he's proven that over and over again, with this being the most recent, in some respects, the most glaring of examples. Over at USDailyReview.com, I am doing ongoing stories. We're doing ongoing stories on this situation that really has become a government-manufactured crisis. The word crisis is used too often, but I think it's apropos here. Make sure you keep on checking them out. They're bringing some unique stories I'm not finding anywhere else. So check that out at USDailyReview.com. And I guarantee you, we're going to be hearing more of these horror stories as we go along. I'm Kevin Price. Do want to remind you, of course, the best content here is found over there at USDailyReview.com. I'd like to ask you to please like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. We're going to have much more for you on tomorrow's program, so stay tuned for it. And have a great rest of your day and spend it right here.